So you guys have talked about the box. You know how to use the box. Let's just take a little bit of time to review. So let's say I have x plus 3 times x plus 5. And I want to figure out what that is when I multiply them together. So we use the box to set it up. And I go x plus 3, x plus 5, and fill it in. And my answer, remember, is everything on the inside of the box. So add that all together, x squared plus 8x plus 15, and that's my answer. So x squared plus 8x plus 15. Now, what we're going to do today is we're actually going to go backwards. I'm going to give you this, and I want you to give me these. And what we call it is we call this double bubble. Basically because I have two bubbles, and so yeah, double bubble. However, typically it's actually called factoring. What we're doing is when you're factoring, you're saying, okay, what two things or what three things or whatever you're doing multiplies to give you your things. So we factor it into these two bubbles, and just for something easier to say and remember, we just call it double bubble. So now is our job to figure that out. That's interesting. Let's go to the next slide. Oh, we're not. Come on. Oh, okay. All right. So now that I figured out what I'm doing, what we do is we take our polynomial, our quadratic polynomial, and we need to figure out what two bubbles make that. Okay, what two bubbles are, if I multiply them together, give me that. And so how we do this is we set up our box, only this time we're going backwards. I need to now take these things and make sure they fit in the box. And then I need to figure out what two things out here do I get. So when I take these, if you remember when we actually multiply the box, x squared is up here in the left corner, and 6 is in the bottom right corner. Okay, so we've taken care of our x squared and we've taken care of our 6. What we have to do now is figure out our 5x. And if you remember, whenever we do the x's, they come from these two boxes here. So we have to split it up. So now let's just start filling up the outside of the box here. In order to get that x squared, I would need this to be an x right here and this to be an x. That'll give me x squared. Now to get the 6, remember these two numbers, the number that goes here and the number that goes here, multiplies to give me 6. So it helps to just, kind of think about what gives me 6. I've got 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. And so now comes kind of what we call, kind of a game. So, I can try and put the 1 and the 6 there. So if I put a 1 here and a 6 here, then these two boxes give me 6x and 1x. But the thing is, if I add those together, I get 7x, not 5x. And some people would argue, hey, but if you subtract them, you would get 5. So if I would subtract them, I need to subtract the 1, which would mean that this 1 up here would be minus, which would mean when I multiply this and this together, I get a negative 6, but I don't want a negative 6. So that's not going to work out for me. And unfortunately, I went away from that. So now I have to write over it. Shoot. Okay, never mind me. All right. So 1 and 6 is not going to work. So now I'm looking at 2 and 3. So if I put a 2 up here and a 3 right here, and again, it doesn't matter which one you put in which order. I could have put a 3 on top and the 2 on bottom, but this is just the order I put it in. If I do that, then I get a positive 2x right here and a positive 3x right here, and 2x plus 3x gives me 5x just like I wanted. So then what that means is I can fill in my bubbles. See, this right here is one of my bubbles, and this will be my other bubble. They're both going to be positive, so I have x plus 2 and x plus 3. And so now I have double bubbled. I figured out what two bubbles multiply to give me x squared plus 5x plus 6. So let's try another one. Let's try x squared plus 7x plus 12. Now if you want, you could hit pause and try this yourself, or you can just follow along with me for a little bit longer. So again, I'm going to set up the box, but this time I'm going to fill in the box. I'm going to put x squared in the top left, 12 in the bottom right. And now the 7x I have to split between the two boxes. Once again, x times x gives me x squared. And then for the 12, I've got 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. And this really is a good idea for you to write down the multiples. And now if I can think ahead a little bit, and this is where, you know, the game becomes easier, you can think ahead a little bit and say, okay, remember, these two boxes have to give me 7x. So if I look at my multiples, I've got 3 and 4, that should give me 7. So if I put 3 in one of them and 4 in the other, and then fill it in, 4x and 3x, and then I want to double check, 3x and 4x give me 7x, but you should also double check that 3 and 4 still give you 12, and so it all works out. So my double bubble then is going to be x plus 3 and x plus 4. Again, people ask me a lot, what if I put x plus 4 times x plus 3? That's fine. Multiplication is commutative. You can put it in any order. So that's okay to do that. All right, let's keep trying more. Let's change color, though. I get tired of the same color all the time. All right, now let's try something with a negative, x squared minus x minus 6. All right, so we make our box. We've got x squared in the top left, negative 6 in the bottom right. Now this is where it gets interesting when you get a negative. So we have x and x again. 1 and 6 and 2 and 3 give me 6. Now I'm trying to get a negative x in the middle. I want these two to add up to give me a negative x. 1 and 6 can't give me negative x. They would give me either 7 if I add them together or 5 if I subtract them. But 2 and 3 I can get negative x. So I'm going to put 2 right here and 3 right here. If I do that, I get 2x in this box and 3x in this box. Now I want to get a negative x, which means I'm going to need that 3x to be negative. So if 3x is negative, that means my 3 out here is going to be negative. And now it's time to check to make sure everything works. So I have 2x minus 3x is negative x. That works. 2 times negative 3 gives me negative 6. That works too. So we're checking all levels here. So we have x plus 2 as one of the bubbles and x minus 3 as another bubble. All right. Let's jump to another problem. We have, let's see here, x squared minus 2x minus 48. This one should be interesting. All right. So we have x squared here and minus 48 here. X and x outside. Let's see, 48, 1 and 48. Oof da. 2 and 24. 3 and 16. 4 and 12. 6 and 8. I think that's it. Now, remember, we're trying to get a negative 2x. And it looks to me like my best bet is going to be the 6 and 8. So I'll put a 6 here and an 8 here. That would give me 6x and 8x. And let's see, negative 2x. So I think I want my 8x to be negative, which means that would be negative. And so my two bubbles are x plus 6 and x minus 8. All right, let's try another one. Let's see here. We've got x squared minus 12x minus 28. And I think this might be the last one I do with you, and I'm going to give you a couple to do for class tomorrow. So let's see here. I've got x squared on one side and negative 28 in the other. X and x give me that. 28 does 1 and 28. 2 and 14. 4 and 7. So to get 12, looks like 2 and 14 will give me 12. So I put 2 and 14 in there. This would be 14x. This would be 2x. And let's see, if I want negative 12, I need 14 to be negative. So my bubbles are x plus 2 and x minus 14. All right. Last page. Here's what's going to happen. Hopefully you've been taking notes and doing every of these problems in your notes. If you haven't, here's your chance to fix it, because I'm going to give you a couple problems, and I'm going to be checking your notes for these problems to be done completely. So here they are. We have x squared plus 3x minus 18, and then x squared plus 6x plus 8, and let's do the last one, y squared plus 2y plus 1. So I'll be checking for these problems to be double bubbled tomorrow.